Hi everyone, happy Friday. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to our second installment of the wellness series with Alice Rose. I do apologise if we are a little bit behind. We've had some Wi-Fi issues. I'm sure we can all relate. So hopefully we're good now, but if we do get a little sticky, we will be right back. Please bear with. We'll be here. Hi Alice, how are you doing?
Hi, Dominique, I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Obviously a little bit jealous of your 40-degree weather, but not too jealous because I know it's a little too balmy.
It's very hot inside right now. Literally, I've got a fan on my face. I know you're probably all thinking, oh gosh, yeah, you're abroad, it's sunshine, be quiet. But yeah, it's just maybe a little bit too hot. So
very different being
I look very glowing as supposed to be. yeah, just maybe not so much, but no, it is good, and it's great to be here, and I'm super excited that we're doing our second workshop today. Lots of really juicy nuggets, so hopefully everyone will find it really useful.
Absolutely. I mean, today we're talking about work-life balance and kind of, the best ways in which to achieve that, why it's important, and kind of how to set boundaries, I suppose, for yourself to be able to achieve that. And it's something that I'm super passionate about just because it's something that I see so often within our industry, specifically with personal shopping and styling and marketing, and I'm sure lots of others as well, but in this particular one, I think burnout is such a huge part of our careers, and it's almost normalized. I think this idea of sort of working 10 to 12-hour days and being available 24/7, and the truth of the matter is, I don't think there's any job that should be like that in any way, and we're not brain surgeons, and so I'm just very conscious that we sometimes are killing ourselves for certain things. And actually I think you can sort of still work hard and work smart and still have really successful lives and still have the joy, because otherwise what are you working for, if you don't get to enjoy it, enjoy the life. So it's something that I think a lot of our members and people who are watching can really get a lot of benefit out of. So we're going to talk a little bit about what does that look like, how can you sort of work less and live more, tips for getting really good night's sleep, which is something that should be really important to all of us. Nutrition is also a big part of that, and then hopefully towards the end we can answer some questions as well.
Great.
Perfect. Now we can hear you, but you might have frozen somewhat on the screen.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I think the internet is playing up today.
No worries. Oh, you're back.
Hopefully I haven't got my mouth open.
No.
It's embarrassing. Freezes.
It was very nice. I didn't even realize it. Are we back?
Oh.
I can hear you. Yeah, there you are. You're moving again. I don't know. Maybe it's a case of.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Should we roll with that?
So we should, yeah. Perfect. How are you doing? Can you see me moving okay? So I believe Alice is just going to sign off and sign back on again, because the internet has been a bit tricky today. I do apologise. But, as we were saying, hello. Sorry about that.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just sort of letting everyone know that you were going to go off and come back on. But yeah, so we've got a few little tips that I know you wanted to talk to us about, and eating healthily, sleeping well, etc., and just kind of giving some top tips, and hopefully if we've got time we can do some questions as well towards the end. But I'll let you kick off. So essentially, why is it so important to kind of have a work-life balance?
Yeah, I think, like you said, I'm also so passionate about this, and I think as a culture and society, we're sort of told and bred to believe that we must work, and if we are not working really, really hard on all cylinders all the time, then we're not working hard enough. And actually, when we take a break and a rest, you feel guilty about it because you feel like you should be working. And our health is the number one priority. If we don't have our health, we have nothing. You can't work if you're not healthy. If you're sick, you're debilitated. You can't work and live. And there is a balance. And I think a lot of this is about actually a mind shift and mentality. Why is it so important? Well, it's important, for our sleep, to make sure that we get enough sleep, for our energy production, for our productivity, for our mental health, for chronic health conditions, depression, how happy we are, how lonely we feel. All of this can be, as a causative factor around having a good work-life balance. And if we don't have that, then that's when chronic health conditions can come in. And that can be on, like I said, on a mental level, an emotional level, or on a physical level. And we tend to keep going and going and going until our body says, that's it, no more. Whereas what we should be doing is sort of really listening. And we talked about this last time, being more intuitive with our body and sort of really feeling how we feel. And saying, well, actually, do you know what? I'm not feeling my best. What's going on at the moment? What do I need to do to help resolve this so that I can be more productive?
Yeah.
And actually, what you find is if you get that balance right or better, and I'm not saying you're going to get it 100% of the time, but if you can work smarter and allow yourself to take care of yourself more, rest more, you'll actually find that you'll work better and you'll get more done. Your productivity will be much higher. But we'll go on to that in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, in the snapshot, what do you feel looks like a work-life balance? What's the ideal?
Yeah, I think it's different because it's difficult because everyone is different.
True.
But for me, I think it's, you don't have to be, whether you're freelance or you work in an office, you don't have to be the first one in the office and the last one out. You don't want to be the person that's not taking a lunch break and not going outside. You don't want to not have enough time to move and do exercise, spend time with your friends, constantly stressed on emails. It's about being able to take, say, be really committed in the time that you are working, but taking regular breaks, taking a lunch break, making sure that you go outside, making sure that you eat well and you make time to eat, you make time to do the things that you love, and you take a break. Because at the end of the day, you should want to come back to work on a Monday thinking, not having the horrendous Sunday blues, thinking, oh my God, I don't want to go to work on Monday. How am I going to get through the week? And at the weekend, all you want to do is sleep because you don't have the energy because you work so hard, or you're working throughout the whole weekend as well, and you're not having time off.
Yeah.
For you. So it's about making it work for you and your job and your busy schedule, but being strict about it and saying to yourself, right, my morning routine for me is non-negotiable. Before I start work, I get up, I have a shower, I make myself a cup of tea, I do my morning workout, and then I start work. That might be your morning routine. Or actually, no, you don't want to do that. You might start your morning, you wake up and you just have a cup of tea, but you have 5 minutes just, reading or listening to a podcast or doing something that isn't straight wake up on your emails starting work.
Yeah. I think
it's about
sorry.
No, go.
I was going to say, I think it's so important. And something you said as well earlier is that, you're not always going to get it right. And I think it is a journey. I think there are times when you have peaks and troughs, but I think being able to kind of have your non-negotiables makes actually a lot of difference. And also I think it's there's a sense of having those non-negotiables and almost kind of having a schedule doesn't have to mean that you're being overrun by the schedule. Having a schedule can actually allow you some breathing space and making sure that you're tempered. I always find that I'm a lot more I get a lot more done and I kind of can pack when I have almost like an order of the day. It's when I don't sort of try to order myself out is when I find that I'm working much later or over the weekend or things like that, and I'm finding that I'm kind of scrambling a little bit. So for you, what does it look like, you know, this kind of idea of like working less, if you will, and living more?
So working smarter. And what does that mean, working smarter? You know, we think we all work smart, but it's about, again, that designated time. Again, if it's in the office or you're freelance, you know, I think sometimes when you're freelance, it's harder because you're running your own business to keep those hours. So again, set that structure. So again, you don't have to stick to it. You know, you don't need to be held down by your schedule, but create that structure, create a working structure and a working environment that works for you. So say it's, you know, you start work at 9, then you have a break at 11 or 10:30 for sort of 15 minutes, half an hour, then you keep working until 1, you take half an hour to an hour lunch break, and then you keep working to 5:30 or 6, or whatever it is. Well, actually, that might not work for you. You might say, actually, I do all of my best work in the morning if you're freelance. So you work 9 till 1 or whatever, and then, you know, you take a couple of hours for yourself. It's about making it work for you and not feeling guilty about it. But sustainable planning, you know, for me, I would rather get up a little bit earlier in the morning so that I've got time to make my hot water and lemon, meditate for 15 minutes, and then I do my Pilates class, and then I'm ready to start the day. Because for me in the evening, I find it too hectic to try and fit in movement in the evening. So I like to start my day that way, and I feel like I'm off to a good start. But it's about making it work for you. So sustainable planning, batch your tasks together, create a workspace and a workflow that works for you. So you take yourself somewhere to work if you're freelance, you know, or if we're working from home still, you create your workspace there, and then you move away from it to take your breaks, because mentally you are then shifting away from it. Also leave your phone there.
Ironically, I think working freelance has actually brought up a lot of other issues, I think, or working from home in the past year. I noticed that a lot of people were sort of telling me, I'm now working like 12-hour days and I haven't really stopped for lunch, because you're in this kind of home environment. So there was all these positives that were coming out, but actually it was kind of shifting you away from actually the break, and also not having the benefit of having someone go, oh, should we go for lunch now, or can you pop out with me, or can I have a meeting, which would take you away from that space that might get a drink, etc. You're kind of just in this constant space of kind of work, and actually it's hard to it was almost harder
to take yourself away, because there's always going to be stuff to do. There's always going to be something to do. So you can sit there all day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at night and feel absolutely frazzled, but you're still going to have things to do. And that was a big one, learning that for me. So routine, sustainable planning, batching your tasks together so that you can create a mindset working on different things, moving through things logically, and then write a list of your non-negotiables. Self-care is so important. Now, it doesn't matter whether that your self-care is an hour for watching, you know, Sex and the City, fine, you know, but make time for you to switch off from work and what you're doing, and write a list of what your non-negotiables are, or what you'd like them to be, and write them into your routine. You know, 30 minutes walking outside every day on your lunch break, to make sure you go out, do it at the same time every day. Once you've done it for a few weeks, you build it into that routine. It's just about consistency, giving yourself the permission to go and do it, and realize that the world's not going to fall apart if you go for a walk for 30 minutes on your lunch.
Exactly. And I think that there's also something in, like you mentioned, because you like to get up early, you find the time easy, and I used to find the same thing, like working out in the morning was actually how I kind of set myself up in terms of just kind of having a mindset and the energy. But I know there are a lot of people who actually say, do you know what, I'm really productive from like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I found that it wasn't so much that it was about the work. I think it was the communication around working with others about letting them know, you know, and I'm like, it's okay to say, you know, these are my office hours, if that's the case. If you work later, you can say, I'm working, these are my office hours, or this is the times I can do meetings, or etc., etc.
Absolutely, and be honest from the get-go. It's much better when people understand, rather than thinking, why are they not getting back to me or whatever. You know, put it on the bottom of your email signature. I do not work Fridays. Fridays are my day, you know, or, you know, my office hours are 2 till 8, or whatever that is. Don't be afraid to say, I don't work on these days, or I work from these times, because we've got to champion each other to support this environment of being supportive in different ways of working, and also appreciating that we need a good work-life balance. Whereas historically, like we talked about, it's all work, 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 work. Doesn't mean that you can't achieve just as much, if not probably more, by creating those boundaries for yourself.
Absolutely. The moment that I sort of let go of this idea that I had to work within a 9 to 6 period when I was working from home, the better I found I was, actually, because I found that what was happening was just long periods of nothing, and then feeling like you had to do lots. And then the minute I was just like, you know what, if I'm not having a great productive morning, then I'm gonna do a later evening. And then I was finding that, you know, I was spending all day doing half the work that I could bang out in 4 hours, just because I was choosing my times better and understanding like where I needed to be at that time. And a lot of that is also kind of down to kind of, you know, sleep, which I think a lot of us actually struggle with in terms of feeling like downtime, you know. And what are your tips around sort of sleep and kind of getting in that kind of balance?
Yeah, so sleep is a massive one. And again, it does come down to having a good sleep routine. I know it sounds really boring, and it's not always like the easiest thing in the world, you know, go to bed at 10 o'clock every single night. No, but, you know, you want to try and aim for consistency again. Go to bed at the same time if you can, and wake up at the same time, you know, the majority, you know, of the time. I'm not saying obviously at the weekend, if you get up at 6 during the week, you're going to wake up at 6 during the weekend, but try and go for consistency. It is true what your grandma says, you know, the hours before 12 is where you get the best beauty sleep, than after. So I always say aim for 10:30 lights out sleep, so that you can get a good 7 to 8 hours sleep, which is what most people, you know, do need. And I am such a strong believer that if you can get, you know, 7 to 8 hours sleep, 9, you know, if that works for you, then that's great, because this is the time that our systems in our body take time to heal and repair. So in terms of a sleep routine, it's put your work down before you go to bed. Do not bring your laptop into your bedroom and sit in bed doing your emails, because you will not be able to sleep, you know, or for a lot of people. So it's set, you know, if you go to bed at 10, you need to have the computer down by 8, so you've got time to relax. Don't eat meals late at night, because again, you'll be digesting your food when you're sleeping, when actually we need that time to rest. Don't eat lots of sugar before you go to bed. Again, you don't really want to drink lots of alcohol or caffeine before you go to bed, because these will affect your sleep. But the big one is actually blue light, so screens. Are you on your mobile phone texting or Instagram or whatever you're doing until you go to sleep, and then putting your mobile phone down next to your bed, and you've got your notifications on? You know, the blue light from that is going to keep us up. It affects our circadian rhythm. We're not supposed to be in contact with this sort of light all the time, so it really affects our sleep cycle. So in an ideal world, I'd say, you know, laptops, phones out of the bedroom, get an old-fashioned alarm clock, so that again, we are just taking that time to be present in the moment. Have a couple of hours downtime, whether that's reading, you know, spending time with friends, family, your partner, meditating, exercising, away from screens. Making sure that your sleep environment is a good sleep environment. You're not too hot. You know, you've got breathable linen on the bed. You've got, you know, the right sort of pillows. It's dark in the bedroom. You know, you haven't got light coming in. Yeah, your bedding is, you know, breathable, so you're not sweating. all of these things, you create a lovely environment as if you were going to a hotel. Your bedroom can be like that.
I was just about to
Burn
say,
some
yeah,
incense.
I love it. And funny enough, I do that sometimes. Like I burn incense, I have lavender. Like I want it to be a place that I want to be, that instantly when you sort of step in there, it feels relaxing. It's almost kind of like in the same way that you might have like a bed routine for a child, you almost kind of want to, it's not actually that dissimilar, it's just maybe more grown up orientated, right? And you can kind of have these things, but when you step into your room, it should start to feel like, okay, this is, your brain should start going, okay, we're getting ready for bed, you know, it's important.
Yeah, it creates a sanctuary, and it will really, really help, you know. Really, but what I cannot emphasize enough is phones and screens down at least 2 hours before, at least an hour if you can't do 2 hours before bed, and I promise you it will make such a difference. But just create that lovely environment. You know, I put essential oils on my pillow every single night before I go to bed. If you have trouble with noise, wear earplugs or, you know, an eye mask. Treat yourself to some lovely breathable bamboo or organic, you know, cotton linen. Have some like lovely natural organic scented candles, or, you know, things like that. But just create a space for you to unwind, because again, then that helps the stress response. And like you said, it is like babies, you know, for adults, we do need an element of routine and structure so that our body knows that it's a safe space to relax and get ready for bed.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that I also found really helpful, and you know, I've had an iPhone for over 10 years, and it was only in the last sort of maybe 2 years that I started to use the do not disturb function, which is so crazy. I didn't even really know what it was for. And then I actually, because I realized that, you know, even though I didn't necessarily have my phone, somewhere I'd be hearing it vibrate because I was getting through, you know, several emails at night, or I was getting notifications. And actually turning off notifications off of certain apps and things like that have actually helped me go a long way in terms of kind of being able to disconnect, especially in the evenings, and especially if you deal with different time zones. Fact of the matter is you have to sleep sometimes, so I try to, sometimes it is a case of me putting on the do not disturb, so there's no emails, there's no notifications coming from, you know, social platforms or what have you. So it is really just kind of like, so regardless of whether my phone is there or not, I'm not going to be sort of being like, oh, I heard a buzz and do I need to be thinking about what that is, even though I'm not necessarily going to pick up the phone. It kind of just disassociates you completely from that kind of process. So that's
excellent. You know, the more we can do that, the better, because we are sort of addicted to our mobile phones, and you know, now everything is so accessible through them. We can work through them. We don't necessarily even need a laptop. You know, it is 24/7. It's constant. So you'd be surprised if you haven't done it. Turn, you know, to everyone out there, turn your notifications off, put your do not disturb on, do it for a few hours, and it will work wonders.
Quite liberating, actually.
Yeah, it's very liberating,
to be honest, because you realize I actually don't have to be as accessible as I'm feeling, because like, again, it's that conditioning of making you feel like it's always on, and actually that's not the situation. You know, we were talking about, I don't know who I was talking about, I was like, you know, back in the day, if someone tried to call you and you weren't home, you just weren't home, like they'd have to call again, right? So it's
that's exactly that, you know. So take back, you know, empower yourself to not be available all the time. Be present, you know. And it's so important for our mental health to really be able to switch off and be present in the moment. I cannot stress that enough, because we are, you know, we're so we've got so much stuff coming through our phones all the time, through all the different apps and the notifications. Like you said, your body's constantly on alert. So just by making it part of your evening routine to help your sleep, turn it off, turn the notifications off, put your phone in another room, whatever it takes, just try and spend some time really being able to be present, you know, at dinner tables as well. Put your phone away so that you can really engage in conversation with the people that you're talking to and you're with, and really be present with the food that you're eating. is really important from a weight perspective as well, because I know in this current pandemic, a lot of people have found that they put on weight because we're not moving as much. But a lot of that is also to do with we're not actually consciously paying attention to what we're eating either, and we don't know when we're full because we're too preoccupied and too busy with everything else that's going on.
Wow, I didn't even think about it from that way. That's super interesting. So what other kind of lifestyle factors are kind of impacting our health and can kind of help us make more balanced choices?
Yeah, so living more consciously, like I've just sort of mentioned, like I'm so passionate about, because I think, like we've said, we are in a time where we are constantly having to do sort of a million different things at once, and we're always online. Make conscious choices to disconnect. Think about when you're eating your meals, like how you're preparing your food. Where has your food come from? Enjoy eating it. Like we've lost that sense of creating experiences. Now, I don't do it every time, but a lot of things that I advise to my clients sometimes is have a date with yourself at lunch.
That's nice.
And it feels really luxury. But light a candle, put your favorite music on, prepare something that's really healthy and really delicious, and spend your time eating that food. It doesn't matter if you're alone.
Yeah.
Read a book or just enjoy the food or listen to the music. But you're creating a sensory experience for yourself that's really uplifting for the mind and the body and helps reduce your stress levels. So it's just about doing things that bring you into the present moment a little bit more. Putting your phone down, looking at sustainable swaps. So, trying to go to plastic free shops and not buy food that is completely all covered in plastic all the time. What good is that doing for our bodies in terms of ingesting the plastic from the packaging,
Right.
but also in terms of the nutrient quality of organic versus non-organic? Now, I could talk to you about that for years, and we don't have enough time, but think about the decisions that you're making. Make more conscious choices about the things that you're buying in terms of what you're putting in your home, the cleaning products that you're using in your home, candles that you're using in your home, what you're putting on your skin. The skin's the largest organ in the body. Go for natural and organic, less packaging. Think about when you're buying things, do you need that? Can you reuse something in terms of a sustainability perspective? And I promise you, it just shifts your perspective and brings that focus again back to the being more present. And it reduces your toxic load in terms of what you're putting on your body in your home and what you're eating, which are big things for our mental health and for our physical health.
Absolutely. And I think when you think about the way in which, and I think specifically maybe for our generation, reason why I say this is that we kind of are coming from a place where we were very happy to deal with simpler things, and we've been introduced to a lot more things that are supposed to make our life easier, what have you. But actually, with that said, there are lots of amazing things now that we can sort of tap into that does make our life a lot easier and quicker, and with the idea that it's supposed to give us more time with our family or with ourselves, etc. But I think also at the same time it's taking away a lot of our conscious choices of of that. And even just mentioning the idea of having to think consciously about being able to shop places where not everything is supported with plastic packaging. Now, essentially, you go to a supermarket now, 90% of your fruit and veg all comes in plastic packaging, and you're not being given a choice to eat. And because that's a convenience, you're not, you've been so there's been lots of options that are taking away. And actually, one of the things that I've been able to see with a lot of people around me is that actually there's a reason why now these markets are becoming more popular again, because they're having the presence of mind that you can actually get fresh produce, because we were sort of being limited from that actual choice of fresh produce or not, or organic or plastic free. without even realizing it. It was just kind of, you know, happening slowly but surely, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, like everything's in plastic, and before you know, you've been buying all this stuff for years in plastic.
It's crazy, and you know, there have been studies now that, you know, unfortunately, women are having babies, and there's plastic being found in the placenta, and it's being transmitted through our newborns, which shows that we've got plastic within us now. So, and you know, back, like you say, you know, back in our grandparents' generation, even in our parents, you could go to your local fresh fruit and veg market, or your greengrocer. You could go to the fishmonger, you could go to the butcher, and yes, it's not convenient, but you knew you were getting good quality products. And actually, you know, yes, we are very, very busy. We have to make the time to make better choices for our health and for our planet. So really thinking about how we can do that, and like you said, consciously thinking about actually go to the fruit and veg market, because it's quite a lovely experience to do that as well. And make those choices for yourself, that's something that you want to do for you and your family, and make the time to do it. And it's not necessarily going to be more expensive than the supermarket. Actually, you'll find that you'll probably get better deals, especially in these markets, because you can, if you know it's at the end of the day and they've got stock to sell, then you'll probably get more of a deal,
you also
and a bargain.
Packaging, like a lot of
and you're not paying for the packaging.
Absolutely.
You know, or if you are time poor, look at, you know, veg box deliveries, and things like that. For sure. I just think there's a lot that we can do and make healthy choices for ourselves, and in terms of sustainability and long-term health, for us all, just by making some sort of better conscious choices that reduce our toxic load and improve our health, mentally and physically.
Absolutely. And in terms of just being able to give yourself more time, you know, I think you talked about it on our last episode, actually, with regards to what kind of choices around sort of food prep and things like that will also support that, kind of make balance a little bit easier. So would you just remind us of a couple of tips that work really well in that sense?
Yes, absolutely. So number one, the best one is batch cook. So either, if you know you've got a couple of hours on a Sunday or whatever day it is, batch cook a load of food and freeze it, you know, portioned out already. So if you know you've got a late night on a Thursday night and you're working late or whatever, rather than thinking, gosh, I've got nothing to eat, I'll just go and get a takeaway, you can just get something out of the freezer that you've already prepared already. This also works really well for during the week, in terms of lunches, because you can batch cook or prepare vegetables, or chop up vegetables that you can keep in the fridge. You know, glass containers are great, portioned out, ready to go, and then you just mix it all together, 5 minutes and you're ready, you know, or reheat it and you're done. So batch cooking, pre-prepping vegetables and things like that. A salad is a bit difficult because it doesn't tend to last as long, but vegetables can be great. Or even if you don't feel like you want to batch cook on a Sunday, cook more of your dinner in the evening and then either freeze it or have it another day for lunch.
Like lunch another day, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And what kind of things are going to help kind of reduce a little stress or increase energy? Because I think also that's another thing, you're always feeling a little bit maybe sometimes overwhelmed or deflated, or feeling like you don't have enough, you know, always feeling like you don't have enough energy or to sustain yourself throughout the day, throughout the week, or what have you.
So again, that comes back down to sleep, reducing your stress levels, you know, moving more, making sure that you're getting outside enough, you know, 30 minutes a day, go for a walk, making sure that you're drinking enough water, you know, average about 2 liters a day in sort of water, reduce your alcohol consumption, reduce, you know, smoking, if you eat too much sugar, caffeine. All of these things impact our stress and our energy levels. So, but also, again, like we talked about, being present, being able to not switch off your mind completely, but being able to relax the mind, because you could be sat feeling like you're relaxing, But if you're constantly thinking about the work and your to-do list and what you've got to do, you're still actually in a constant state of stress.
Yes.
So, and that takes its toll mentally and physically on us in the long term, and that's when we get symptoms and things like burnout. So we're trying to reduce the stress. So all of the things that I just mentioned, and other good practices that you can do are things like mindful practices. So taking time to meditate. Now, if you think, oh, meditation's not for me, I don't want to do that. There are lots of different forms of meditating. You don't just have to sit there in silence by yourself. You can do a guided meditation. You can do it for just a couple of minutes a day. Even just taking time to read a couple of pages of your book, you're taking time out of your mind and into an activity that is using that and not you being focused on what's going on in your mind. Taking breaks, making sure that you take regular breaks. Don't work for 4 hours straight and don't take a break. Get up, have a stretch, do some squats, move, get the blood pumping around the body, make yourself a cup of tea and just spend 5 minutes switching off and then come back to a task. If you're finding you're not being very productive and you're not getting where you want to be with a task, stop doing it. Take yourself off, go for a walk, do something that you love, have a bath. One of my clients, I said to do something for you, and she said it was the weirdest experience. I had a bath at 2 p.m. the other day because I was getting really stuck with my work and I wasn't getting anywhere. Had a bath, and then she finished what she needed to do after that because she just had the idea when she was in the bath and had that time out just to relax and
absolutely. Sometimes the dissociation enough, alone is enough to kind of get you to where you need to be in the first place, rather than trying to kind of pull it out there somehow.
Just sat there banging your head against the screen. It's not gonna work. Take that break, whatever it is, take it. But really big things for energy as well are making sure that you are eating the right foods and a really nutritious, healthy diet. Reducing processed foods, so processed sugars and caffeine and alcohol, and making sure that your meals are balanced with proteins, carbohydrates and fats, and you're getting enough fruit and vegetables and good quality ones into the diet. And resting.
So important. Well, we've basically almost run out of time, and you've given us so many tips so far. I hope that everyone's watching have got a lot out of it. I know I have, and it's just really, these are really easy, attainable things to actually do ourselves, for ourselves. And I think now that we're going towards, a lot of people are having to reintroduce work and things like that, I hope that's also being taken in to consideration, so that we're still taking that time for ourselves when we need to, and able to set those boundaries. So if we have any questions, please feel free to send them in now. But in the meantime, I know that you had a really great offer for our members and those who are attending the event today. Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So for anyone, if they are interested, want to find out a little bit more about nutrition, have health concerns, or want to have a one-to-one with me, offering 10% off all initial consultations. So please feel free to drop me a line if you have any questions at all. But talking about self-care, I've also got some really amazing retreats coming up. So do check out my website if you're interested to find out more. We've got an amazing one in Cornwall coming up, and a couple of online ones that I'm really excited to share. So would love to have you there. So please do check out my website for more information for that. That's alicerosewellness.com.
Amazing. And we will put this on our platform, like all your details and stuff. And where can people also find you on social as well?
Yes, so it's Alice Rose Wellness.
Amazing. So we can find, and if you want to come to ŌNCE Club directly to get an introduction, we're happy to do that. But I think it's well worth doing. I think there is so much around being able to kind of work smarter and take time. And I think self-care became such a buzzword last year, and it's almost kind of at the stage where we could parody it. But that being said, parody all you like, I think it's still probably one of the most important things that has kind of come out of last year. I think it's something that we should all be leaning much more into as well, because I just think, you know, life is so short. And I think, you know, working is obviously important, working hard for your employer, for yourself, absolutely, all of that stuff. But I think having boundaries is the way in which you get to enjoy this life that you're spending all your time building for. And any type of tips or help you can get with that are super duper important. So if you need some more support or advice from Alice, I absolutely encourage you to take that on, because it's very, very helpful. And
thanks, Dominique.
Okay, you know, I think it's super important, and because I've seen what burnout looks like, experiencing it as well, and you know, you're just kind of like, oh wow, this is really important. And it's not happening to people who are like, it's not this kind of cliche of, you know, how you see it on TV when you get to like this midlife, you know, I'm seeing young women and men at 20 years old, 25 years old, kind of experience these levels of stress and anxiety. It's not a coincidence. So I think you get the tools now, it helps you sort of like live so much better. So, you know, it's really important. But if we don't have any questions, I will say goodbye to you, Alice. Thank you so much for your time again and your wisdom.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait to see you soon. If there are any questions, please do feel free to send them in, and I'm happy to, you know, I can answer them, or we can get them out there.
Absolutely, most definitely. We'll pass all of those over to you, and I guess we'll see you in about a month or so for our third installment. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, really looking forward to it so much. Thanks so much, Dominique, and thank you to everyone listening, and see you soon.
Thank you, Alice. Happy Friday, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Bye.